So a little bit about formula basics, how to start formulas. We're going to work on formulas in these tabs here and using functions in as part of formulas. But a simple formula really only is denoted by an equal sign to start. So equal sign, now we've started a formula. So in this case, you can add, subtract, multiply, divide, what have you. So if you wanted to add these three, then you would click the first cell, so equal sign and then the first cell. Now, or you could type it in. Now see, it's blue here, and that box around it is also blue. So it's denoting that's where this value is coming from. Then a plus sign, then click on the second box. Now you see it's red, and this one is red. And then a plus sign. And then we're going to click the third box. And then we're going to hit enter. So now you've created your first formula. If you go back here, you can see your formula in the formula bar up here. And you can click in here and and the colors of where each one of these values comes from show up in your formula bar. And then you just hit at this point, you can either hit escape or hit. So now to use a function, and we're going to use a function that we're going to talk about in the next module or next section. If to use a formula, you hit delete, we're going to delete that out of there. So the delete key once will delete anything in a cell. So we're going to hit equal sign. Now, if we wanted to get a sum of all of these, then we would just hit equal sign and type in sum. Now, if it comes up and it turns blue, then you can hit the tab key and it will automatically put your open parenthesis. So the basics for a formula with a function, you would have equal sign, then the name of your function, and then you will open a parenthesis to start the argument. So in this case, and then it will show you the arguments of that function. So we're just going to select these three cells, and we close the parentheses after the formula or the function, and then hit enter. Now, if you wanted to use that and say, I want to add $1,000 to this in profit, you could go back up in here and you can add numbers or cells to the function. So you could say plus 1,000 and then hit enter. So now it goes from 9,300 to 10,300. And you can add another formula to it. So you could add sum and then add it again. You would never want to do that. I don't see why you would, but there you go. So that's a little bit of the basics of functions and how they work. So now we'll move on to how some of the different more popular functions work. Thanks for tuning in. The video portion of our Excel and Accounting Accelerator. This is one of two videos. This video is going to be broken up to do just the basic functions listed in the course description, and then we'll do another video to deal with table operations and creating pivot tables. So here we go. So the first one is our sum, and that is an easy formula, and we're going to do equal sign. You type in the word sum, and then when you get to here and it's highlighted and you see it in the list, you can hit tab, and then that will open that up. Now what you can do is you can go click here, you select the cells that you want to add, close parentheses, and then hit enter. So now we have the total sales here. Another way to do it, I'm going to undo that. Another way to do it is you can actually go up here to the auto sum button, hit auto sum, and it will automatically do that for you. Hit enter, boom, it's done. So you can use the function inside of another formula. We can talk about that later, or you can just use the auto sum button. So that's the sum function. So then we're going to go to count. So in this case, we're just going to count. We have a list of all these invoices, and we just want to see how many invoices there are in the list. So you would type in equal sign count, and it's there. So we're going to hit shows up. So we're going to hit tab, and then we're going to count the invoice numbers, that range, and it works the same as the sum, and hit enter. And so we know we have 26. Another way to do it is you can select those numbers or that data, and in this block down here will show you average, count, and sum, and those are by default. So a couple ways to do the count there. Okay, then we go to count A. Now count A will count the number of cells without something in them, so empty cells. And count A counts the number of empty cells, so equals count, or counts the number of cells in a range that are not empty, excuse me. And now we're on to count A. Count A counts the number of cells in a range that are not empty. So if we have this list of projects or this list of invoices, and we wanted to see if maybe by mistake somebody left the project field blank, and it was a bigger list and it would be harder to do, one easy way to do it would be to use the count A function. So you would say equals count A tab, and then you would select those values, close, enter. So we have 26 cells with something in them. And if we go and select this, the count is 26. So that is going to be correct. Good way to check it. So count blank is a lot like the count A function, but instead of counting the number of cells that are not empty, it counts the number of cells that are empty. So one of them is looking at things as half empty, the other is looking at them as half full. So we're going to say equal sign, count blank, tab, and then the range. And this time we're looking at, are there any reps that are blank? So we have no empty cells as far as the reps go. So then we're going to go on to average function. Now average is just going to tell you the average of a series of cells in a range. So it's pretty straightforward. Equals average. It's in blue, so we tab, and then we just select that number or that range of sales, close it, enter, and now we have the average sale or average sale amount per invoice. So so the next tab, min, max, or len. So minimum is the min and max, minimum, maximum. So min, in this case, if we wanted to see what's the smallest invoice that we have, we would just say equals min, and then we're going to select this range of invoices, close, enter. So the smallest one is 2,500. There are a number of different ways to do this. You can do and we can get into those in a different way. Largest invoice is the same, equals max, tab, and hit the range, close parentheses, enter. So 3,500 is the largest invoice. Now, len, L-E-N, is a function that tells you how many characters there are in any cell. So if you wanted to say, not the longest client name, but if you wanted to look at a client name and you look here and say, oh, it looks like this one is the longest name, you're going to go equals L-E-N, tab, and then you're going to click that cell, close, enter. There's 16 characters in that cell, including spaces. So that is all for the functions that we're going to cover. If there's any other functions that you want, please let me know. Those are some very basic functions and some things. Now, len could be used as to test. So if you had, in this case, you had the same name. So if you said you have two cells with the same name, but in this case, there's an extra space after it. So you wanted to see equals len of this one and the length of this one, you would see there's one less. So why would you want to use this to check the different lengths? Well, in this case, what I've done over here is I have a unique list of client names in this column B here. But when we went in and added this other one and got 17, and when one has 17 and one has 16, it became unique to this. So you can watch what happens to this list. So I go back here, and that's going to throw off a lot of things here. So I can go back over here, go to this one. It's got this one with the extra space. Go back, enter, and now everything is as it should be. So every once in a while you're going to find a reason to use some of these formulas, and Also, you can nest it in another formula, many different uses for it, but that's the basics of the formula. So in any case, thanks for watching, and we'll see you around the corner.